This is Satish Paryani, working as an assistant professor in Department of Mechanical Volchan Institute of Technology, Solapur. Today, we will be discussing the role of entrepreneur in procurement. What are the key parameters or what are the key uh, things which an entrepreneur should be develop, a skill should be developed when he has to take a decision about the procurement and specifically related to projects procurement in that sense. So at the end of this session, students will be able to understand the role of entrepreneur, a pure role of entrepreneur in taking decisions in procurement. So the contents is simple. Now, as an entrepreneur, we have to know the procurement process so that you know what will happen when and can be planned for it. Many times we have to take the decisions, we have to take the calls about the risk involved. He should be very dynamic in that sense. Let us say the case here. I will discuss about if he is procuring the items from China for his running a factory. He should be known to the holidays there. I have seen the cases, I have seen the shortages availability, and they have taken the air freights when this small thing is not known to them. Planning is very important in that case. As an entrepreneur, he has to think from that angle. Generally, February month, Chinese holidays they celebrate it. So almost whole month is shut down there. If one part is open, even factory is open, then certain other transport will not be there, then government officials will not there for clearing, and so the n number of reasons there will be a problem. So if he is procuring, if he is taking certain parts from different countries, he has to know the holidays. A simple example I am giving. And parallelly, he should also be ready to make some localization plan. If it is possible, then he can go for that. So he has to know the procurement process so that he know what will happen when, and it can be planned for that. Understand what the contract terms and conditions mean so that you can read and understand the contracts. This will help you to plan and manage the monitoring and controlling of procurements. Now, contract terms, a simple contract terms, I will explain you. I will try to explain you. When the shipment comes from, let us say, the previous example of China, if I am procuring, what are the contract terms and conditions involved in that? What are the shipment terms? Whether it is DDU, DDP, FOB, CIF. FOB means, CIF means these terms should be known to him. Who will pay the freight? Whether that freight cost is included in the product? Who will pay the transport? And transport from where? Transport from Chinese factory to Chinese port to Indian port to Indian factory. These are the transportation costs involved in that. Who will pay which cost? Very simple example I am telling you. So he should be used to the term of FOB, freight on business, CIF, DDP, DDU. These terms will help to understand it. And one more important thing in not only freight, the insurance part. Who will bear the insurance during the damage if it all happens during the transit from Chinese factory till Chinese port, or Chinese port to Indian port, or Indian port to Indian factory? Who will bear that insurance? Whether insurance part is also included or not. We have to think from that angle. So contract, this is one of the simple contract terms. There are n number of contracts which are being used. We are not going in depth, but the main purpose of this point is to understand the contract terms. He should be used to that. He has to learn, he has to take skill, he has to have certain training on that. because he need to take the decision with his teams, with his juniors, with his colleagues. And entrepreneur's part is very important in that case. Make sure the contract contains all the scope of the work and the project management requirements such as attendance of meetings, reports, actions, communication, how the communication will be done, whether it will be done through the mail, whether it will be done through the telephone or messaging. It should be very clear when, who, and how they will be doing that. Deem necessary to minimize problems and miscommunication with the sellers. The next important point is identify the risk and incorporate mitigation and allocation of risk into the contract to decrease project risk. What does mitigation means? We are known to certain risk. How we can mitigate that risk? We have to think from that angle. First, we need to identify the risk, right? Then we have to, if it is possible, if we are identified the risk, if we can remove it, is well and good. But if you cannot remove, we have to incorporate a mitigation and allocation of risk into the contract very clearly. Help tailor the contract to unique needs of project while it is being written. Include the time required to complete the procurement process into schedule for the project, so the project schedule is realistic. See, this is one of the important point what I want to discuss still more on that. Include the time required to complete the procurement process into the schedule of the project. A certain task what we have taken, we have to include that so that project schedule should be realistic. Let us assume we are, a certain project is there, a certain work has to be done by the entrepreneur. He has to think from that angle, but he has to know where the hurdles can be. A small, let us say, one step is over, then second step will move, second step is over, third step will move. Everybody, every organization, every human being is used to the psychology of adding buffer to the schedule. If somebody asks you immediately, how many days you will like to complete this work, you will think and you add certain buffer, and then only you will give the answer. Let us say if I really know that I require only 2 days, when you are in the college days, it is very simple. You can say, project, how many days you will require to write the journal of this, let us say assignment number 1. You know that 5 questions are there, hardly 2 or 3 hours will be required. Then you will say, sir, I will require 2 days. Means you have added certain buffers, means you are thinking that certain things will happen, you will be not doing on priority. Similarly, in organization, that psychology is still there. Means they are adding buffers to each and every step so that project duration becomes long. Yes, buffer to certain extent need to be added. That is a different story how the buffer addition is done. But a project management should know the different tasks and what buffers, where exactly he has to focus on critical items. This is very, very important in that case. So that include the time required to complete the procurement process in the schedule for the project so that project schedule is realistic. Protect the integrity of the project and ability to work done by making sure the procurement process goes as smoothly as possible. Integrity is one of the important concepts the entrepreneur should ensure within his organization. Integrity is challenged at every stage in the organization, so he has to make the system foolproof about that. Every organization or human mentality has thing to go on the divert basis. So integrity should be, and a strict action should be taken if anybody don't follows the rule of integrity. Especially there are many organizations which went into huge losses because of this integrity issue. And still entrepreneurs these days are also facing that a certain provisions, certain decisions has to be taken about this integrity. Be involved during the contract negotiation to protect the relationship with the seller. It should not be that win-lose kind of situation. It should be a situation of win-win kind of situation. Means a seller or buyer both should be happy. My team and parallel, because as a human, as a organization, as an entrepreneur, I have to not only think of my members, I have to think of my whole team or whole support which I get it. Right. The contingent negotiation process often created when the seller feels that they have to give up too much profit or agree to terms and conditions that do not like to win the contract can create a win-lose kind of situation with the procurement manager and seller. So we have to be quite flexible with, we have to understand, because if he is surviving, then only I am surviving. We are dependent on each other. These are the stakeholders. These are stakeholders which have to be involved in that. My stakeholders are my suppliers, my customers, my employees. I have to think from all angles. So many times be involved in that negotiation. Key decision making. Even your team works, but yes, you have to be reporting and try to be in that. Protect the integrity of the project and the ability to work done by making the procurement process go as smoothly as possible. A small test in the sense, small quiz is there. Think it. Whether the below statement is true or false. Think it. Identify risk and incorporate mitigation and project allocation of risk into the contract to decrease the project risk. Whether the statement is true or false. Yes, the statement here is true. Hope so. You have understand the basics of what are the rules or what are the important points which have to be taken by the business leader or business person or entrepreneur during this. I have taken references from these books. Thank you.